Uriah Hall taking on Anderson the Spider Silva in what is sure to be an emotional evening as the Spider lays his gloves in the center of the octagon and hopefully can do so without having his eyes rolling in the back of his head in the process. Uriah Hall is 16-9. The Spider is 34-10. Just an absolute legend of the sport. And I don't want to talk poorly of Anderson Silva because so many of us wouldn't be fans of the sport if it wasn't for what he did. He's one of those generational talents that leaps the sport of MMA to new heights because he's just so dominant and so amazing. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, miles ahead in the striking game during his time, during his reign. But he's just too old at this stage. Uriah Hall is having kind of a resurgence in his career here at 36 years old, which a lot of people didn't see coming. We here at the Die Hard MMA Podcast have been able to cash in on him lately, but I don't want to lay minus 200 here. I've got a rule, James. If you're going to bet on a fighter who's over the age of 40, you better have a damn good reason to do it. And unfortunately for us, Anderson Silva is 45. So he is well beyond my cutoff point. And I don't have that damn good reason to talk me into taking the dog and praying that he can get one last fight, one last win over a younger opponent and ride off into the sunset. How are you feeling about this fight?
I'm staying away from this one. I mean, I'm going to pick Uriah Hall. I'm going to keep it simple, for a lot of people here. Uriah Hall, to me, is one of the most interesting fighters in UFC history. He's got some incredible wins, like over Thiago Santos and Gegard Mousasi. Still one of the few guys to finish Mousasi. I realize that Mousasi ended up avenging that loss later on, but still, he's got like wins like that. And then he has losses like John Howard and just like fights that don't make any sense. He's got, his overall UFC record, I think people forget, is actually I wrote it down here, it is 8-7. So it's kind of a weird record, right? This was supposed to be the next Anderson Silva. And by the way, I think people forget too, this fight is 4 years in the making. They were supposed to fight at UFC 198 back in May of 2016. Now we're finally getting it now, well overdue. It's like when you leave the milk carton out a little bit too long, but that's kind of how I look at this one. This is going to be the second longest layoff of Anderson Silva's career. That's one thing to point out. And his age, that does play a role in my opinion. The layoff he had from Brunson to Adesanya was 728 days. The layoff he has here from Cannonier to Hall is going to be 539 days. So that's not very good news for Anderson Silva at 45. His last win was February 2017 over Derek Brunson. I went back and looked at that fight. 20 media members scored the fight for Derek Brunson. 4 media members scored the fight for Silva. So Silva realistically could be on an even bigger losing streak heading into this fight. Now,
I don't know how he won that fight.
Yeah, no, I know. It was a pretty bad decision going back.
It was awful.
Yeah. Now you mentioned Uriah Hall being at Fortis. That's one of the things with him. Hall is a different guy. I mean, I've had him, you see him in interviews. He gets a little testy at times. And I like the fit at Fortis because, Saif Saud, a very hard-nosed coach, like the nicest guy you'll ever meet. I've had nothing but good experiences with Saif, but talking to his fighters there, they feel the same way. Super nice guy. But then there's a sort of Jekyll and Hyde where in the gym, this guy is strict. If you're a minute late, if you're, not pulling your weight, he's going to call you out in front of everyone. And you're going to know that you did not live up to that standard. And I think that's the perfect setting for an Uriah Hall who can, be a little bit scattered at times. So I think you saw that in the last couple of fights where he's, had the 2-fight win streak. That's because of the coaching he's been getting, because I think he's been everywhere. He's been at Jackson Wink, I think, for a bit. He was at Extreme Couture. He's been all over the place. And I think Fortis has been sort of a good fit for him. The problem with Uriah Hall is that you don't know what Uriah Hall you're going to get. Either you're going to get the guy who goes out there and finishes like a Gegard Mousasi, or you're going to have like a really boring fight. So that's why I think Hall wins this one, but there's no way I would bet on this fight. There's no way I'm just going to sit back, enjoy what's left of Anderson Silva's career. But I think Hall wins this. Does he finish Silva? I don't know. Honestly, I don't. Like, maybe he, he's fighting a legend. Does he get a little is Adesanya couldn't finish Anderson Silva, right? Like, so it's like one of those things. Like, there's too many question marks in this fight with both guys. I got to pick Hall. There's no way I could pick Anderson Silva. Silva hasn't been the Anderson Silva that we're used to in years. I mean, we're talking probably before the Diaz fight, maybe even the Diaz fight. That was the one where it's just like whatever. But yeah, I'm going Hall here, but stay far away from this fight, ladies and gentlemen. That's my recommendation.
I feel you there, man. And that's, the one thing that has held up for Anderson Silva really has been his chin. This guy has taken the cleanest shots everybody has had to offer over the last couple of years, and he still has not been knocked out. Now, his record shows 3 knockout losses. Obviously, one of those was to Wyman. The other 2 have been leg kicks. If I could tell Uriah Hall anything, and I tell you this, I legitimately sent the man a DM on Instagram. I said, attack the legs. Because it may sound mean, it may sound rude, but that's how Anderson Silva has been giving out lately. His last loss was to Jared Cannonier, and it was the leg kick TKO that got him out of there because he's just having problems. You know, he's got those knee issues. He had the shin break that was bad. Like that just, he's not what he used to be there. And I agree with you that sometimes you don't know what Uriah Hall you're going to get. And that's why I haven't included him in any like big parlays or anything. He's in my Hail Mary. He's in my sprinkle, my long shot parlay, but he's not tied in with my other favorites because you just don't know what you're going to get. Now, I've done my due diligence. I've done my Instagram stalking. And there is a picture of him standing next to Superman Span. And Uriah Hall is in the best shape I have ever seen him, James. If you all get a chance, roll on over to Instagram and just check out the posts that Uriah Hall has made. Uriah Hall is he's one of those fighters that you nailed it with Saif being his head coach. He's a video game controller. He needs a mastermind at the helm. He needs someone pulling the strings, and he's got that now. I think we are seeing the Uriah Hall that we were all hoping to see 5 years ago. The only issue for me with Uriah Hall is he's been knocked out a fair few times himself, and if Anderson Silva's got anything, he's still got that power. He hasn't been able to land it successfully because he's been fighting the top of the division. This is arguably a step down in competition for Anderson Silva, so it's a little bit sketchy. The only thing I'm tempted to do, besides my, little Hail Mary shot that I've taken, is I might look at Uriah Hall inside the distance. Believe it or not, you can get plus money on that right now. Uriah Hall inside the distance is plus 170, and this is a 5-round main event title fight against a 45-year-old fighter who's taken the longest layoff in his career, who knows he is retiring, and whose knees have essentially fallen apart. Mm-hmm. If Uriah Hall kicks the legs, Anderson Silva is going to hit the deck. And I don't think it'll take.
Good point. No, very good point. Very good point. I mean, how many injuries has he had on that leg, especially the second Weidman fight? It's pretty bad. So I thought his career was done that night, to be honest, when Weidman landed that kick.
We were all blessed to have him come back.
Yeah.
I thought it was, I thought he was done. I thought he would never, ever come back. It gives us a little bit of hope for Dak Prescott with the Cowboys.
Yes. No.
Sorry, not a Cowboys fan. So don't be blowing me up in the chat now thinking I'm a Cowboys fan. Vikings. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, I'm with you, and I'm really happy that we got a little bit more Anderson Silva. I wish it could have been a little better for him because, like you said, he's kind of just got the brakes beaten off of him in the last couple of fights. I'm happy Bisping got his win over Anderson Silva. That was something I feel like needed to happen. But this is really the end of an era, man.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, and we'll see what type of Anderson walks into the cage at 45. Of all guys to be that age and look somewhat decent, it's going to be Anderson Silva. It's not a case of like a Phil Baroni or something. You know what I mean? Like he'll actually look decent. But yeah, I'm with you. The leg, I forgot about I didn't forget, but it's just something I didn't consider about the him getting his legs chopped down. So I'm actually definitely going to play that prop action now that I think about it. The inside the distance. I didn't realize it was plus money. I mean,
plus money. You've got 5 rounds, and Uriah Hall, he's a notoriously slow starter. But with 5 rounds, he's got plenty of time to wake up. And a 45-year-old Silva, I mean, he fought Israel Adesanya, and we know Israel Adesanya kind of took it a little bit light in that fight. He wanted to spar with his idol. He wanted to get in there and feel the moment, and he only had 15 minutes to work with. So I'm not overly shocked that he didn't go in there and get the finish. But Jared Cannonier, he went in there with no respect. He went in there looking for his win. And with that, he got it relatively easily. I feel like that's the blueprint. If Uriah Hall is looking for violence, which the shape he's in tells me he is looking for violence, I think he gets it done. And plus money on a knockout prop for Uriah Hall. This dude, when he is on, that's all he does is knock people out. He's got 11 wins of his 15 wins by knockout. And what he did to Bevon Lewis back in December of 2018, like he's still got it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, we'll see how it looks on Saturday. Again, I hope it's an entertaining fight, but with Uriah Hall, it's a coin flip when it comes to that.